the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll start off by apologizing. I have a really bad cold, so hopefully I don't start a coughing fit here. But first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to remove item 11 on the agenda.
It has been moved to approve the agenda with item 11 removed. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 3 passes. Item 4, approve previous meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 4 carries. Item 5, there are no drainage claims today. Item 6, receive and place on file step increases for Deputy Alex Winiger. Deputy Winiger will go to step 1, $48,533.46 per labor agreement on April 11, 2017, as recommended by James Stubbs, Sheriff.
Mr. Chairman, I motion to move 5 to 6 as read.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 6 carries. Item 7, receive and place on file step increase for Deputy Amy Stringer. Deputy Stringer will go to step number 4, $58,659.67 per labor agreement, effective April 15, 2017, as recommended by James Stubbs, Sheriff.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve item number 7.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 7 carries. Item 8, receive and place on file step increase for Deputy Derek Christie. Deputy Christie will go to step number 4, $58,659.67 per labor agreement, effective March 11, 2017, as recommended by Jim Stubbs, Sheriff.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 8. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 8 carries. Item 9, receive and place on file the resignation of Mackenzie Conrad, Correctional Officer, effective February 24, 2017, per recommendation of Steve Elfridge, Jail Administrator.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve, receive and place on file item number 9.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any comments on this item?
The only thing with Mackenzie is Mackenzie was a good employee, but she has since taken a job as one of the dispatchers. So to do both of those in part-time fashion doesn't work. We tried that before, but the hours always conflict. They're scheduled somewhere else and they can't make it. But she was a great employee and she's doing really well in the dispatch center also.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 9 carries. Item 10, receive and place on file hiring and employment of Audrey Douglas, part-time correctional officer, effective March 10, 2017, at a rate of $15.16 per hour, per recommendation of Steve Elfridge, Jail Administrator.
Mr. Chairman, I move item 10 as read.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 10 carries. Item 12, receive and place on file resignation of Leanne Rosado, Case Manager, effective March 16, 2017, as per recommendation of Ken Hayes, Community Services Director.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we receive and place on file her resignation.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any comments on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 12 carries. Item 13, receive and place on file employment of Pauline Grandors, part-time cook, effective March 9th, 2017, at a rate of $12 per hour, per recommendation of Steve Elfridge, Jail Administrator.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 13. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 13 carries. Item 14, approved liquor license for Lakeside Municipal Golf Course.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve item number 14.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions?
All the insurance and everything.
Granted, everything's in. Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 14 carries. Item 15, approved 2017 tax exempt status for wildlife habitat under SLU bill enacted in 1982, and further to approve the following application for open prairie, rivers and streams, forest cover, recreation lakes, and residential wildlife habitat as exempt property per board resolution on April 12, 1983, and receive and place on file native prairie tax exemption.
Mr. Chairman, I move item 15.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 15 carries. Item 16, approve annual siren contract service agreement with Frontline Warning Systems.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the annual siren contract.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Scott, would you like to explain?
Good morning, Scott Forbes, Emergency Management. Just a little overview on the sirens. Webster County owns 11 within the unincorporated areas of Webster County, and also do the maintenance on those. All the sirens that are in the county, city, and the ag park are tied into a system, a control system that's in dispatch center, so they're all tied together, and they are all Wayland warning products. Frontline currently services all the sirens in Webster County, the cities, and the ag park. I did reach out for some other bids. It's kind of a Dickinson company used to do it from southern Iowa. They would do it for $200 each siren, for Frontline $175. And also they would have to buy parts from Frontline because they are a district Wayland representative. Electronic engineering local, they wouldn't bid it. Basically, they contract through Frontline if anybody calls them, so the price would go above that. So I would recommend going with Frontline. Timeline on that is towards the end of March. And what they do is basically check the batteries, the radio equipment that's at each siren, and the signal. And then if there's anything that needs to be repaired on any of them, we'll bring that back to the board with that cost estimate. So, any questions?
Questions for Scott on this?
Not on this, but on something else. Property asking, we could always move it to the end.
Just asking.
As long as he's up there.
As long as they're asking.
Yeah, the sirens last night broke down. The tornado was down in Lowry or something. And I always get calls from people in Fort Dodge saying, why didn't you hell do we have to, the nursing homes have to move their people out of the rooms when the sirens go off. And it's not affecting Fort Dodge. I mean, I live out in the north, like Blue Sky in my area. You know, is there some way we could fix that or have some kind of a system to figure it out?
It's a good question, Keith, because that comes up to me a lot too ever since I started. There is a system out, an upgrade to the control box in the LEC that we can look at that can separate the county however the board and the city would see fit and agree upon. I mean, they could separate it from north-south, east-west. With that system too, the Weather Service also has they can kind of pinpoint the direction a little bit better too and activate those sirens in that path and not whole county. So that system is out there. Nobody's really pursued wanting to do that. But if you'd like to do that, get information on that and kind of start the ball on that.
How about the phone alert system that we have in the county used by not to do?
That is basically through the Alert Iowa. That's another system that we have, otherwise known as the WEN system. That is provided by Homeland Security. So anytime anything in Webster County that we have weather-wise, if you're signed up for it, you're going to get that text and alert. Really, they can't pinpoint if you're north or south or anything like that. It's just if you're registered in Webster County and there's an alert for Webster County, you'll get that alert.
A couple of years ago, I agree with Keith, a couple of years ago, Scott and I talked about this, and then it just kind of seemed to fall by the wayside again. I personally think it would be great to just somehow separate it at least a little bit, north-south or something, north-south or Dodge if we can.
I think one of the ideas behind it is that if the sirens go off, it gives everybody the opportunity to take a look take a look and see that it's down between, in which case was down by Dayton, you shouldn't have to push everybody in the nursing homes or the hospitals into different rooms because of what their policies are. But I think you do need to make the citizens aware of what's going on.
So how do we do that? How could a Friendship Haven have the access to that information? When the siren's going off, how can they go to and say, okay, emergency management says it's down now? Is there?
That would be your WIN system if they've got time to, because the phones ring off the hook immediately after those sirens go.
Right, don't you think by separating it out a little bit, those phones ringing off the hook would be less? Because there is a factor of crying wolf too, because if it's going off down by Gowrie, people in Badger are gonna get used to not doing anything, oh, it's just a siren. So it could be Gowrie dealing with
No,
those.
I totally agree with what you're saying, but I think it's a case of who really knows what direction, or if one might fall out of the sky, you know, if you have that line going across, how do you know 20 minutes later that there may not be when it hits the northern part of Webster County? So at least you're aware that that potential is there.
I think
that's what the reason behind it is.
I think you have to keep some of that in mind. Last night was a little bit more of an extraordinary storm. You had what was going on down by Burnside. By my place, by Clara, we had a lot of hail, enough hail to turn the ground white, my driveway white. And then if you pay attention to the news, those storms last night were moving extraordinarily fast, 60 to 85 mile an hour. So I guess my point would be, who wants to decide what sirens you're going to set off or not? Because you're going to get the same complaints if you don't set them off, and then something happens.
Right, but we have a system in place of watch and warnings to notify people already.
When's if they're on?
No, a tornado watch versus a tornado warning. The National Weather Service does that to notify people there's potential for that area.
If you're walking with your TV, yes.
Or it comes across every cell phone also.
Does everybody have that?
But I think what you don't realize also is we actually had somebody that thought they spotted one up by Badger. And that was before what happened down by Dayton. So where do you draw that fine line at? And I know what, and I agree with what Keith is saying, but at the same time, it's their policy that they push everybody in the center once the sirens go off. Maybe they need to evaluate their policies just a little bit and make everybody aware of what's going on, because I sure wouldn't want to be the person to say, well, we're gonna do it this end of the county, and then all of a sudden have one at the other end, and not
Well, I think
get a warning out that we've got something that.
our discussion before was it still would be based on some type of National Weather Service warning. I mean, you know, I don't think anybody wants, somebody just, because we've had that problem in the past with who's actually going to set them off, you know. But I just tend to believe he's a little bit too, I think we're really into a cry wolf situation. I know lots and lots of people that don't pay any attention to it anymore because of that.
I walked outside, I was eating supper, and I walked outside and what, you know, so I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. Well, just something to explore.
Yeah.
I see pros and cons of it, so, okay.
I can get some information from Wayland too and talk with the Weather Service and bring back some information for the discussion.
Because just real quick, I think our discussion before was that they're so good now at tracking a storm that if we can know from the National Weather Service that it's only in southern Webster County, you know, or not. Anyway.
And just so important that does, that right now the Weather Service does not trip the sirens, the dispatchers actually do trip that, so there is a person making that decision here in Webster County. So.
Anything else? All right, back to the actual item, any other questions on it? If none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item 16 carried. Item 17, public hearing. It is now time for the public hearing on the adoption of the county budget and certification of taxes for fiscal year 2017-2018. So I'll open the public hearing. Are there any written comments from anybody? Any comments on the budget from the public? Seeing
Somebody want to go through the levies and what we did here?
Because I can't read it off. I'll just make a couple statements. Basically, the levies are going to stay the same from last year to this year. I think the county has been fortunate. We had quite a few increases in our budget, 16% on insurance and several things like that. The expenditures are up, but I do want to take the time to thank the unions in their negotiations. I think we fairly, with everything going on in Des Moines again, we fairly negotiated with them for some things. They also agreed to participate in insurance cost for us. We were fortunate as a county that our assessment values were up. That saves us a little bit, probably predominantly because of the wind turbines coming online a little more every year, plus some of the growth in the county. So between those two things, we're fortunate. I think we're going to dip into our reserve a little bit, but we'll be able to keep the levies the same as they were last year. I do also want to thank the board, especially the new members. I think they jumped right in with no fee, and we do, people don't realize that we actually go line by line through the budget now. It takes some time from the department head standpoint, but that way it educates us. I think they're up to speed a lot faster than we used to be maybe. And then I want to specifically point out Doreen. Doreen did an extremely good job on the budget this year, coming in really not knowing the budget. It's very complex. She spent a lot of weekends, a lot of nights here, did an excellent job with the budget. So I think as a county, we're sitting pretty good. Financially, we still have a good ending fund balance, and we're on pretty stable ground, and it's fortunate we don't have to increase the levies. So without specific numbers, the paper will get those numbers, I think, from your whole paycheck. We're building a new maintenance facility, which increased the budget numbers a little last year and a little bit this year. Those will fall back again, but otherwise, all in all, it's pretty good. Is there anything else from the public on that? Seeing none, I will close. Yes.
I have something that I can see up there.
Yeah.
Come on up, state your name.
Well, my name's Dave Pearson, and I guess I just wanted to address an issue that's kind of been going on in the county. First of all, I would really like to say,
Dave, can I don't want to interrupt you, but we're in a budget hearing.
Oh,
Budget question? I don't believe you're talking about the budget, are you?
I'm not talking about
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is my first one.
No problem. This is
We'll get you to
Yep, this is
Thank you.
dealing with just for the budget, sorry, Dave.
Thank
I
you.
should have known this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, seeing nothing else on the budget hearing, I will close the hearing, and we will go to the next item on the agenda, which is item 18, approve adoption of the county budget and certification of taxes for fiscal year 2017-2018.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 18.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further questions on the budget? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 18 carries. Now is the time for public hearing. Thanks, Dave. I'm sorry to do that. Now you can get up and talk about your issues. Sure.
You know, first of all, I would like to say I respect everyone in this room, what you guys do, so thank you. Big applause from me, and I know my family on everything you guys do for the community and stepping up for your services here. Something I would like to briefly address is I live at 1789 Johnson Avenue, just down from Ratner's Treatment Center, and we've had some issues with Ratner's Treatment Center, with my family in particular, with runaways that I think needs further looked at. We moved there roughly 8 months ago, minusing out the winter and the kids not running away as much. There's been multiple runaways from that institution. And first of all, my family is very in favor of Ratner, so we know institutions like this need to be in place, and we respect that very much. The issue is the runaways. have now 3 times come to our home. One time my wife stopped a young man on our lane, and the second one got closer. Actually, I was in my shop area, and my wife was in the house, and looked out, and it looked like a grown man playing in the sandbox with my children. And, you know, I went out and told my kids to go in the house. This kid was not mentally all there. He was, you know, had some issues going on, which I don't know of, and I'm not pertinent to that information. But it was a scary situation for my family on what would happen with the safety of our kids, with the facility not being overly secure. I contacted Mr. Klug out there. I've had multiple meetings with Mr. Klug. We were invited, my wife and I, Danielle, were invited to a board meeting, or not necessarily a board meeting, but a meeting, and we were able to have discussion on coming up with some proactive ideas for better securing the property. There were items brought up, really none that were put into place. One was an alert system, like a text message alert system when a youth got off the property. That was shot down. There were others that were brought up. I don't mean to steal everybody's time here. Long story short, just yesterday I was at work and received a call from someone who had a police scanner on, and they stated that, I don't know if you know this, if you talk to your wife, but a woman is on the phone stating that a Radnor kid is trying to get in her house with her kids inside. So I immediately grabbed my keys, drove beyond the speed limit. Mr. Thode would not be happy with me. Home, and Brett Knippel, other sheriff's deputies were arriving, and there was another Radnor youth at our home for the 3rd time trying to penetrate our house, trying to get in the doors, went around to each door trying to get in, aggressively trying to get in, and my wife was on the phone with law enforcement dispatch. Thankfully, we purchased a dog. He was going crazy inside. The sad thing is my kids, my 7 and 5-year-old, my wife had to tuck them in a room and lock the door, and my 14-year-old son grabbed a rifle and was standing on the other side of it. If that kid would have penetrated the house, you know, that's not something I want my son to live with. I'm here so we can come up with some proactive solutions with better securing not only the community and just my kids, but for the Radnor kids as well. Because these kids that are leaving the property, okay, are in danger of getting hit, picked up by someone that would not make good decisions with them. They could get hurt. There's multiple things that the list goes on and on. I know there's a lot of red tape and there's a lot of challenges that face the Radnor, but if we could please look into some proactive security measures, my family and I'm sure the community and the kids of Radnor would really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave. Are there any public comments from anybody? Mr. Anderson?
Morning. My name's John Anderson, and I'm the chairman of the Webster County Planning and Zoning Board. And we have finally concluded our public meetings where we took in input from the confined animal feeding operations that you asked us to do. And so we have the results of that. And I have copies here. I guess I should hand them out. Put paper clips on this time so I can get this long, get them out there. For those of us who are really.
Better help.
Yeah, my hands are shaking. You want one?
Thank you.
All right, I got a copy for the press if you'd like one too. All right, Webster County Planning and Zoning Commission, after several meetings with the citizens of Webster County, would like to present the following recommendation to the Webster County Board of Supervisors. The proposed construction of a nearby processing facility has caused Webster County Board of Supervisors to receive an increased number of permit applications for confined animal feeding operations. The CAFOs, which I'll refer to, that's the short for that, confined animal things, in Webster County have proliferated at a rate likely unanticipated by the authors of the 2002 Master Matrix. Now, the Master Matrix, as you folks know, is the thing that governs the confined animal feeding operations. The residents of Webster County are concerned about water quality, citizens' health, quality of life, and the surrounding area property values that are impacted by these CAFOs. Residents and elected officials want to be able to protect water supplies for towns, recreation facilities, and the areas for future development free from confined animal feeding operations. Current laws, regulations, and zoning ordinances are viewed as inadequate protection for the environment and the citizens of Webster County. The Master Matrix was as it is written now, and its enforcement by the Department of Natural Resources has failed to address the impact that CAFOs on the environment, rural residents, and property owners in Webster County and the state. Legislation is needed that gives counties zoning control over the site selection of these facilities with objective, measurable standards of enforcement, as each county has their own unique situations that are needed, that need to be considered. Therefore, the Planning and Zoning Board of Webster County suggests that the Webster County Board of Supervisors may petition the Governor of Iowa and the state legislature, along with the Department of Natural Resources, to address the outdated Master Matrix. The Matrix fails to protect the water, air, health, and quality of life of the citizens that they were elected to represent. Webster County Board of Supervisors may petition the Governor of Iowa and the state legislature to address the issue of zoning ordinances to help each county protect assets during the site selection of the confined animal feeding operations. And finally, the Webster County Board of Supervisors may formally request that the Iowa Department of Natural Resources be directed to suspend any issuance of additional confined animal feeding operation construction permits until corrective new legislation regarding the Master Matrix can be reviewed, changed, and adopted. Once again, this is, you folks asked us as the zoning board to do this, so this is about where we're at with it. My 3 points of my personal comment on this is, after 3 meetings, some of which were rather lively, it was found that there are real and valid problems for the residents living near the confined animal feeding operations and the land where the manure from the CFOs is applied. The two issues, smells and manure management, those 2 issues, if they had been handled in a more good neighbor way, 90% of the nuisance complaints and damage would go away. Seriously, that's the big crux of this whole thing. 90% would go away if they would address these 2 issues. Okay, and from my personal standpoint, if the authors of the master matrix and the county supervisors live in close proximity of the CAFOs, we would not be having this discussion today. The problem would have been solved a long time ago. Thank you.
Thanks, John. I appreciate all the work the zoning board's done on this issue. I think they felt strongly of bringing something to us. We will take your recommendations under advisement and incorporate them in any further actions that we will take. And I do appreciate Margot and John, especially your, but the whole board's work on this issue. So thank you for the report.
Actually, I will
Margot,
make a
go
statement
ahead.
if I can on it. Hi, Margaret Knibbel, Planning and Zoning. I just wanted to make sure that we thank Brenda Tucker, she's one of our members of Planning and Zoning, and also Jamie Joel as our acting Planning and Zoning Administrator, helping to put these documents together, because it did take quite a bit of time and there were quite a few revisions, and I know Jamie has a lot of other things to do. So, and as a board now, having presented that to you, if you need any of our help in putting something together, please feel free to ask. And like, John and I talked about before, if you have any information from your constituents that did not make it to our meetings, one of the things that we have always stressed is that at our meetings, this was going to go to you, and that citizens would have one additional opportunity to come talk to you about issues like this. So we're trying to make sure that we are as transparent as possible.
One question I have for you.
Sure.
Would you say that this is, I know that part of the problem that we have is an enforcement issue.
Yeah.
Would that, irregardless of what we do, or even we agree with what you're doing, if we don't have the enforcement there, what are we gonna do?
That's a good question, and that's one of the problems. We spoke with, I believe, Gene Tinker from the Department of Natural Resources, and I asked him a few questions, and they were mainly on enforcement, and I didn't receive what I felt was a good answer. And that's why we feel that the master matrix needs to be opened up and looked at again, to come up with better ways that if we have these problems, first of all, to try to avoid the problems in the first place. Second of all, to have a better rule of enforcement to fix those problems if they do come up. And I will say that we do have producers in Webster County that have excellent ideas as far as changes that could be made to the matrix in our meetings. Kelly Blair, I believe, she had some excellent comments. So, we're taking comments from everywhere, and if the board chooses to pass this or to adopt some sort of resolution, as other counties are, hopefully the idea is that we can maybe get the state to look back at this document, come together, come up with some better ideas, and go from there. But yeah, enforcement is a huge problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margot.
You bet.
Anything else from the public today? Yes, sir.
Mike Adams, LHB Park is always closed. I've talked to that Matt Cosgrove, he said, well, it takes so long to groom. Well, they don't even do that. You ever see those county workers out there? There was two of them in the shed the other day, and I stopped there and said, you guys work for the state? They go, oh, we work for the county. And I said, same thing, they don't do nothing either. So they get on that bobcat tractor and they go up by that bathroom in the front where you can't see. They just sit there. I work for 2 more hours, they just sit there. Somebody's not doing their job. Yeah, that park will be closed for over a month. I rode it probably once or twice this year. It's always closed. Is there a reason an off-road park could be closed all the way? Supposed to happen, but
I think some of it's run by the DNR, not the county.
yeah, that's what I thought too.
So,
They told me it was But you're concerned about it being an art.
So some of that's out of our control.
We are working on trying to maybe have some sort of
Not
part
trying
of the park being
to
open,
point.
not all of it being closed, maybe some of the.
That, wouldn't that be nice?
And that's what we're trying to figure out. The safety is weather related, it is.
I know that.
But some of the trails might be able to be open in a wetter area, maybe some of it can't. But our goal is to provide any and all parks the most access to the public as possible.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
And it's still, you know, it's still a work in progress yet. I mean, it's only 3 or 4, you know, it's only been there for 3 or 4 years. And they're still working on the whole phases of it, so it's gonna get better, we guarantee.
It might be here 3 or 4 years. You guys managed it, but that's been, people, them trails
Oh,
were
yeah,
made
the trail's been there.
before
Yeah.
they even started that. Most of them trails, I'm not at 95% of them trails were there.
I rode up when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I lived there 50-some years back there.
No, we're working on it, it's a work in progress.
Okay.
We'll try to get it.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
thank you very much. Any other public comments today from anybody? Seeing none, we'll move to board reports.
Fire just started this week, so.
And we'll be at ISAC the rest of the week.
Very well.
Good morning orientation yesterday.
All right. Seeing none, do we have claims this week? Need to allow claims.
I'll make a motion to allow claims.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Claims are carried, and we have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.